Thank you so much for having me. It's a complete joy to be with you all, and I'm just as fascinated to find out what you're all up to as well. So it would be great to hear from you all a little bit later on. That would be a blessing to me. My name's Gemma, and I'm in Dorset, in Poole, mum of three, and founder of Truth Be Told Storytelling for Life, which is an intergenerational storytelling charity. And we take little children and their parents into care homes and into churches, and we come together with older adults, either residents or older adults in the community, to just find joy and hope and life together through stories and through family and belonging. But first of all, I'd just like to go a little bit further back and tell you a little bit about how it all started. I hope that that's going to be helpful for you. I want you to absolutely apply everything that I'm saying to all of your work in your own churches, in your own ministry areas. So right back from the very first days of being, I absolutely loved stories. Stories were a massive part of my life. I'm sure they've been important to you as well, because God has created us to be a part of His almighty story, hasn't He? And He knits us with amazing mercy and grace into His story of all time, which is just such a privilege. But my mum used to read to me the Magic Faraway Tree. So I'm just going to take you around these pictures. My mum's over there in the bottom right. She's got her red jumper on. And the faraway tree, that there's the picture there of the mama from the Magic Faraway Tree and the children of the Magic Faraway Tree. And that was the most special story for me growing up. And little did I know, when she recorded it for me on a little microphone whilst I was having my afternoon nap, that would actually be all there is of her now. She died when I was 7, and she recorded that story for me. So I now listen to that. Actually, my daughters listen to that before they go to bed. So it was always a very, very important part of my life. And also, it was very, very important to me to be around people of a different generation. That was something that I didn't have very much of growing up. And so I always thought, maybe when I'm older, I'll take over the older adult ministry in my church, because that tends to be, what happens. But God had other ideas. I became a storyteller a number of years ago, and just that little piece of golden thread that you can see, there's a piece of yellow thread on your screen as well. I often talk about this golden thread of purpose that God weaves throughout our lives. And sometimes you think, oh, why did that happen, God? And not entirely sure what happens and what He's doing, until suddenly you see a bit of a vista and you can see a little bit more clearly what He's up to in your life. And so that's what Truth Be Told has been to me, a bit of a vista moment, seeing how He's woven His plans and purposes through me. I'm sure you've all got stories of that in your life as well. But so started my storytelling business, and one of my first commissions was from the Diocese of Southwark. You can see their logo there. There was a church play group run by childminders, didn't have any Christian content, and no one from the church went. And so the new vicar that started at this quite high Church of England church commissioned me, funded by the Diocese of Southwark, to come up with a storytelling curriculum that would revive that play group and that would tell something of the love of Jesus to these parents. And so I set about praying, God, what is it that you want them to hear of you? Many of them would never have been to church, don't know anything about God. And so I started rewriting some parables of Jesus, because I do believe that although the parables are massively powerful, He also gives us a way and a model of how to write our own parables. They're very much of His time, and I think he kind of provokes us to put His love into our context as well. And so I wrote a selection of different sessions. They all had different themes: water, transport, the body, food. And along with those themes went a different story, which had a different truth. So the parable of the prodigal son became a Zimbabwean elephant who wanted to travel at the front of the line with his move away from his mum and go and find the mama elephant at the front of the queue. And so eventually she let him go, and then he hurt his foot and he had to come back. And he had to say that he was sorry and that she did know best after all. And the mama elephant obviously welcomed him with open arms, because he is special. And that's the truth of that story. I am special. Because that's just like a story that Jesus tells in the Bible, because he knows we're really good at wandering off and getting things wrong, but he loves us anyway. So just a little 5-minute story, and then we would sing some nursery rhymes with a bag just like this, and lots of props from charity shops that are really intricate and tactile, and they would relate to a certain nursery rhyme. We'd sing those nursery rhymes, and at the end of the session we'd have bubbles and a parachute, and we'd sing Jesus loves me, this I know. So it's quite a simple format, but each one of those truths, I am loved, I am found, I am special, I am precious, would be a different sticker that the children and the parents would go home with every week. So we set this up and it worked really well. And then I moved to Poole about 5 years ago, which is where that little symbol comes from at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, with the kind of intergenerational symbol. And I moved opposite a care home, and just used to wonder what was going on in that care home. Couldn't really, every time I was looking out of that window, I was thinking, what is going on in there? And is there any way I could help? And then I realised that I had this storytelling curriculum, and I went over and they very kindly let me have a go. So I took the little children from just some school mums and some people from church and the children, and we went and delivered these storytelling sessions in the care home, and it went really, really well. Amazing feedback from the carers, and they wanted us to very quickly start doing those sessions in all of their care homes in the area. That was in January 2019. And then in May 2019, I applied to the Cinnamon Network, and you probably know a number of their projects. They've got about 35 recommended projects for churches to use, and they were looking for new, innovative social action projects that could be replicated throughout the church network. And that's a picture of me with the microphone and short hair. And so managed to win that project lab, which was amazing. And so I've had 2 years, me and my small team have had 2 years of a development grant and 2 years of training and coaching to be able to get Truth Be Told into a replicable format, so that we can now partner with churches across the UK, and they can launch projects, intergenerational storytelling projects, just like the one in Poole, in their church, in their community, wherever they are. And so now we've got, I think we're heading towards 7 churches in different parts of the UK replicating, running Truth Be Told, either in their church building or in their local care home, which is really, really exciting. So just to give you a little flavour of what it was like, here's a picture of me telling a story about a peacock in a care home in Poole. And our vision is, we believe the church is God's beautiful display of family, of intergenerational love and devotion. And Truth Be Told exists to show everyone that they're invited to belong. And this is it's become a trendy word, hasn't it? Intergenerational, but it's not. It was just God's original design for us. There's nothing new or different about it. It was how God made us to be, which is why we all light up with joy and delight when we're together as family, because that's just how God wanted us to be. So that's a little picture there. Enter COVID, and you couldn't have written a more inappropriate project to have come up with. Lots of grubby children and their parents going to visit the most vulnerable in society. So we thought, this could just put an end to our fledgling charity right at the beginning. But like you, I'm sure you all realised very quickly that although it's harder to find and help the people you're trying to serve, it's more important than it ever has been to get through. And we started saying, in pandemic or peace, whatever the weather, Truth Be Told will get through, and the joy and the life will get through. So we did some pen pal style crafts, we did Zoom sessions which went really well and still going on now, because there's some care homes that haven't opened their doors, and they tell us that even though online entertainers haven't been very successful, there is something about, truth be told, that really still impacts their residents, and the children are, you know, benefiting from it as well, which is great. We managed to do an outdoors session, which was good, and then we've done some adapted sessions in care homes. We're back in care homes now, which is amazing, and we hope that yeah, we'll be able to be exactly as we were before this all started. But it means that we've got lots of options regardless of whether we go up or down this scale. There's a picture there of us outdoors. We put some bunting across so the children knew that they weren't to go any further. We tried to make it look all fun and friendly anyway. And it was a freezing cold October day last year, but the carers knew that it was still so impactful for the residents to be a part of their community in this way, that they brought them all out in blankets, which was amazing. And there's still that deep sense of belonging. Some Zoom and some we managed to take some Christian-based colouring books to the carers. I'm sure you've done some similar things through your COVID journey as well. And we did an online nativity, which was sent to care homes across the UK. We had it was a story that I'd written about a snowman, and there were 40 different children all saying lines and singing songs, and this little girl on the right hand side, Seren, stole the show. She was the star. So we've come up with lots of innovative ways of getting through, but the brilliant thing is now we're sort of really back in action. This is a project that's really taking off now. So as well as going into care homes, what we realised last year was that obviously there are hundreds and thousands of older adults in the community who have obviously stopped going to any groups. There's nothing running. They haven't been able to access, come into churches and luncheon clubs and all of those groups that you would have been running and part of. They haven't been able to be part of. So we decided to give it a go, and we started to run these groups actually in a church building as well as in care homes, and that went really well, and there were very few adaptations. Everyone enjoyed it, and so the church here, Gateway in Poole, have decided to stop their elderly ministry, stop their toddler ministry, and bring the two together, and are just now running, truth be told, on a Thursday morning, bringing everyone together in the same room. What we've come to realise is that as churches, sometimes we're so good at meeting the individual needs of all of our individual groups of people that we're almost guilty of dividing to conquer. Actually, everybody's in their own little silos, all divided up, got all these little ministries. And actually, sometimes it can be as simple as saying, we're just going to do one thing. We're going to make it really applicable for everybody, and just come along. And then we're going to be intentional about inviting everyone along. So, and I just have put these 3 words on the screen because these are the things that I've learned through doing intergenerational work over the last few years, and I'm wondering if they ring true with you. And if you're considering doing anything intergenerational, maybe you're considering or thinking about Truth Be Told as an option, or maybe you're thinking about what to do at Christmas, how to involve other generations in your church and your activities. These are the things that I think I found most helpful. So firstly, number 1 is my favourite word, and it's confelicity, which means taking pleasure in other people's pleasure. So taking joy in other people's joy. So there is confelicity, you can see here, between Doreen and Bonnie on the left-hand side. Bonnie's absolutely loving the fact that she's got the ear of somebody who's listening intently. And Doreen is loving the fact that Bonnie is interested enough to come and talk to her. And then Bonnie's mum, Becky, will be looking on at that interaction full of joy and delight, realising that her little girl is bringing Doreen pleasure and Doreen is bringing Bonnie pleasure. So it's this wonderful circle of joy and delight as we all interact with each other, and that is confelicity. So just wondering, how can you bring confidence in your activities as you think of them. And then number 2 is generativity, which is this concept of handing down, of legacy, and how as we grow older, there is always a sense of what is it that we can still do, what is our purpose, and how can we hand that on to the next generation. And more than ever before, I think that the next generation, so maybe the parent generation, and then obviously the child generation, we are so less likely to be connected with our blood relatives and our immediate families, that actually the wisdom and the experience that older adults who aren't related to us can bring is so valuable, that it's just absolutely brilliant to be able to put something on where everybody can benefit from each other. So generativity. And then number 3 is interdependence. When we were blessed enough to win the Cinnamon Network project, one of the things that the judges picked up on straight away was that the lines between the beneficiaries and the benefactors are completely blurred. So we are not showering mercy on anyone else. We are all in this together. We are all learning together. One of those generations being excluded from this room means we're all poorer because of it. Everyone is as important as everybody else, and without the other person in the room, then the project doesn't work. So it's that knowing that we're all equal. It's a complete leveler. We're all in the room together. We're all singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, regardless of our age, because there are children there, and that's what we do. We all make a fool of ourselves when there are children there. It's not because we're older or younger or your parent or whatever. We're all in this together, and so that's the kind of helpful hints, I suppose, in terms of intergenerational work.